Music box. Music box. Music box.
こんばんは、木下てるみです。さあ、もうすぐしましたらゴールデンウィークなんですけれども、皆さん計画立てましたでしょうか。さっき代々木公園の方ずっと歩いてきたんですけれどもね、何かイベントのために皆さん大あらわでした。さあ、今日のトランスミッションライナーの方なんですが、紹介しちゃいましょう。今日はですね、ベストアルバムグループにも選ばれたピクシーズも出ますし、メジャーレーベルと契約するために、これからますます大きくなるかなというハウス・オブ・ラブのミニ特集、そしてインディーチャートで88年は大活躍しましたダニエル・ダックス、もうすぐニューアルバムが出るブリリアント・コーナーズ、そしてブルーエロープレーンズからソロアルバムを出すかもしれないギタリストのロドニー・アレンのインタビューなどをお届けします。今日も必見ですので十分チェックしながら見てくださいね。さあ、ところで日曜日のロック・オブ・ヨーロッパ宛てにたくさん再放送コールいただきありがとうございました。ここでちょっとご紹介したいと思うんですが、プレファブ・スプラウトというのもたくさん来てますし、佐世保市の枝由美子さんです。どうもありがとう。そしてブロスよろしくというのは香川県のゆりちゃんです。そしてこちらもプレファブスプラウト田原千さえさんですね。どうもありがとうございます。そしてとにかくね、こんなたくさん来てますから今度ご紹介したいと思うんですが、今日はトランスミッションです。よろしくお願いします。それではまずこれからセンサルティングス Girlfriend どうぞ。
Forget that everything's down to lust. Though that a trip, there was something I was with. Though you turn around and frown that ain't love. Never thought you could make for a new start. Never thought you could listen to your heart. You hardly know me. Don't try to tell me that I'm wrong. That I'm wrong. You hardly know me. Don't try to tell me that I'm wrong. That I'm wrong. Strange that you say you were careless enough to forget that everything was down to lust. Though when it's you, you give a weak form of excuse. That is the first time and last time that is love. Never thought you could make for a new start. Never thought you could listen to your heart. You hardly know me. Don't try to tell me that I'm wrong. That I'm wrong. You hardly know me. Don't try to tell me that I'm wrong. That I'm wrong. You hardly know me. Don't try to tell me that I'm wrong. That I'm wrong. You hardly know me. Don't try to tell me that I'm wrong. That I'm wrong. You hardly know me. Don't try to tell me that I'm wrong. That I'm wrong.
さて、みんなもうすでに知っての通り、ハウス・オブ・ラブはメジャー移籍をして初の LP をもうすぐ出すところだと言われていますが、彼らがそれによって、非難を浴びる前に今日までの彼らの奇跡をたどってみることにしました。こちらの方をご覧ください。
I think we've been fortunate in the way that we've been dealt with by the press. I mean, they've been really supportive, and sooner or later, I should think they'll get fed up of what they've said, or a different group of journalists will decide that, the time has come to try and dethrone us or whatever. But no, I mean, press is such an important part of the development of a group commercially. It's vital, So obviously we've been well pleased with that. Generally speaking, it's for us recently. It's just been coming to terms with the pressures that we didn't even realise existed. I mean, halfway through our European tour, we thought, God, is this it? I mean, do we want to spend the rest of our lives or the next 10 years doing this? Because it really got on top of us. And then at the end of it, we just thought we'd cope with it. We know how we're going to be dealing with it next year, don't feel quite the same way. I mean, the thing is that because it's such an emotional level on which you operate, touring especially, you change from one week to the next. One week you want to give it up. The next week it's just the best thing that's ever happened in your life. What we do is very logical. We're a good rock band, and we're tuneful, and we have interest. We have an interesting approach. We have our own sound. It's quite simple, really. And rock music, when it's done in a reasonably original way, it always works. And we've been going 2 years, and we were resisted a long time. And last year we thought. We were exactly the same last year as we are this year, and we couldn't understand it. We thought, well, what we're doing is good. What is the problem? I mean, we make good records. We have good things written about our records, but it didn't happen. So, I mean, I don't think there's anything. The thing is, when people when the press particularly pick up on something, they decide they like it, they decide it should be. They just go for it, hook, line, and sinker. It's the same in every country in Europe. They write in exactly the same way. They look for icons all the time. They're always trying to justify the term youth culture. They're always trying to alienate and restate. And so it's we're just part of the process. Very soon we will be quite there. She wanted freedom, not a shackled man. But I need her more than I need her. Yes, I need her more than I need her. The House of Love is very much an attitude, and we're very aware of it, and we've become more aware of it recently. And we'll know when it's time to stop. But I mean, we don't we're very excited about, how our 6th album will sound. I mean, genuinely, I mean, it's something that, it's exciting, we feel actually that we have no restrictions musically, and that it'll just be it'll just be a question of maybe one of us will crack up or something like that. Maybe something like that'll happen, but otherwise, I don't think there's any problem at all. And we're really excited about, being together in a long time. It'll be good. Baby said I was never fun. Thought the ways completely done. Baby said I should make a life. Something solid, I should suffer. Destroy the heart, she said. It'll make you want to smash your head. Destroy the heart, she said.
数年前ペア部が解散した後、デビッド・トーマスはウルンバーズのメンバーとして活動していました。しかし先頃ペア部は再結成しまして、デビッド・トーマスに再結成にした理由をちょっと聞いてみました。
And got fed up, so we stopped. We didn't really break up. It was very Paribu's first part of our career was just like one of those Jack Kerouac on the road movies where you're in this beat up old sedan driving across country with your foot to the floor all the time, and you're running up on intersections and you're saying, go this way, and you go this way, and then go this way, and then finally you roll up on the beach out in Santa Monica, and the flaps are flipping this way and that on the car, and the steam is coming out, and the hood's bounced up, and doors are dropping off, and it's like one of these Keystone comedy things, and everybody walks away from it. During the course of the ensuing time, we would we simply more and more of us began to work together during the solo period, and so finally, you know, we realized one day sitting around in a hotel room in Holland that this was Perubu, and that, you know, it walked like a duck, and it quacked like a duck, and it looked like a duck, and it was therefore a duck, you know. So it really just came back together again organically, and it was Perubu, so we had to call it Perubu because there's a history, there's a language, there's a grammar of sound, and a tradition that's very rich and should be not allowed to go to waste, you know.
How much do you think that your goals and, in a way, aspirations have changed since you first started, say, in 75?
Not a bit.
You've not become more materialistic at all as time's gone. Oh, people do, though, besides...
Well, I
people
look
tend
forward
to
to the
deny
day
it.
that I could afford to buy the top-of-the-line Roberts radio, but beyond that, no. I mean, well, the point has always been, I mean, we were very fortunate in that there was absolutely no hope that we would ever have a record contract or be successful, so we simply made music to entertain ourselves. We always compared what we did to the pioneers out on the plains when they would get together out in, you know, with 5 people in the middle of 100 square miles and do music for their own entertainment. This is why we say that music should be personal, music should be provincial, music should have an accent.
Do you think you deserve respect?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think we've created a body of work that certainly is almost unparalleled, and it's uncompromising in willful disdain for common sense in the business world, you know. And I think that certainly we deserve respect. We've created a body of work that's very, very outstanding, you know, and it's very pleasurable that people you know, cite us as great influences and cite us as, you know, they're as it were heroes and things musically.
Do you think that you've improved with age, or do you think that, do you ever look back on your past career with pride and embarrassed about what you're doing now, or is it vice versa?
I'm as happy with Perubu in the beginning as I am now. I mean, we've done things, you do things that you think afterwards, oh, why did we do that? That's stupid. But generally, no. I mean, the point of Perubu and the point of our career was to establish a language and to be able to develop things over a period of time and to see, just very quickly, I don't care if you don't have any time. You ask me these questions, I'm answering them. You see, you look at that, you say, that's a cup. I'll buy that cup. I recognize that cup. But this cup is also this, and it's that, and it's looking at it this way and that way, and all sorts of ways of looking at it. Now, you wouldn't buy that. You wouldn't they wouldn't advertise it like a cup like this in a store and say, buy this, because you'd say, what's that? And you'd say, oh yeah, that's a cup. I don't want to buy that. No. But that's the cup too. All of this is the cup. So you have to see it from all different angles, you know. And one album we do is going to be like this, and you're saying, well, that's not I'm not going to buy that. That's not a cup. That's I don't know what that is. Who cares? That's the cup. This is the cup. That's the cup. That's the cup. So we set out to do a career in which you would look at something like this. You would look at Perubu like this. You would look at what we're talking about like this, and you would know what a cup was. If you only know a cup this way, you don't know the cup. Thank you, and good night.
さて後ろを見てください。セクラというショートボートなんですが、ブリストルに来て死んでいるか刑務所にでも入っていない限り誰でも一度や二度は乗ったことがあるんですよ。この船の中には映画館もディスコもあってライブが行われたりするんですね。動物園よりいいと思うから一度行ってみることをお勧めしましょう。ではフューチャー LP です。こちらでございます。
With half bricks and things and things of which whack me on the head. Not quite white enough to open up to determine the nature of things. Not quite opened up enough to determine the nature of things. So hold still, I'll be
第2回目のトランスミッション楽しんでいただいてますでしょうか。さてトランスミッション登場アーティスト以外の情報なんですが、まずはソニックユースが大おすすめしますダイナソージュニアのツアーの話題なんですが、これでもごめんなさいね、ツアーはイギリスでなんですけれども、ダイナソージュニアが UK ツアーにニューシングルを引っ提げまして、4月後半から、明日からなんですが5月6日まで行われます。 彼たちのライブっていうのはいわゆる彼たちがフライングというかジャンピングというかお客様に向かってポーンともう飛んじゃうシーンとかあるらしいんですけれどもね、ぜひ日本にも来てほしいなと思います。さあここでまたちょっと違う話題なんですけれども、80年代、イギリスの評論家たちが選びました、ユニークなアルバムということでこの AR ケーンの、69が選ばれました。ラフトレードで私去年ウッデントップスと一緒に買ったんですけれども、ラフトレードもねスミスを出してから以来あまりいいアーティストはいなかったんですが、こちらのアーティストも今後に期待したいということでイギリスの批評家たちは推しのようですよ。皆さん聞いてみてください。はい、それでは次そろそろ行きたいと思いますが、これ聞いたことありますか？ Watch now this tune どうぞ。
Behind me over here.
さあ後ろに見えるのは美しいセントメアリー教会、それから西ヨーロッパ有数の素晴らしいバス停留所があるんですね。そしてすぐそこにいるレイチェルはニューリリースのコーナーをしてくれます。さあ優れものというわけではないですが、一言触れておきたいのはインスパイラルカーペッツのこの EP です。これは 2,3 週間前にカウレコードからリリースされました。それとザ・ウォルトンズの LP ディペースミディアムクールレコードとレーベルから出ていまして、やっと店頭に並ぶようになりました。そして同じようにミディアクールからリリースされたポップガンズのランドスライドです。ザ・グループファームの They Hate Us and We Love You Tell This もリリースされました。そしてこちらはハウスオブラブのレコードですね。さあいよいよ最後は、こちらの番組でご紹介したいこれなんですけれども、ダニエル・ダックスさんです。 さてヒューゴ・ラーグは観客に世界中で一番柔らかい野球のバットで叩かれたと思ってほしいようです。どういう意味なのかメンバーのティムとハンに尋ねてみました。
I'll stand by that. I think what I meant by that was that you can make rock music that's quiet music. I think for years and years the association has been that if you make quiet music, it either has to be folk music or it has to be new age music. But you can do delicate things and you can do things that aren't necessarily at the highest volume, but still at a pretty high level of energy, or it's still a pretty high level of emotional intensity. But you don't necessarily, it doesn't have to be new age music, it doesn't have to be folk music. And I think that's something that's been happening in the late 1980s and is going to really spread in the 1990s, is a whole sort of movement of people making quiet rock and roll, quiet rock music. I think that the Cowboy Junkies are a good example of that, and there are going to be plenty of others as well. Artiness sometimes implies forcing something. That's the bad side of artiness, and we're not that. We don't force what we do. I think it comes pretty naturally to us. We have never been intentionally weird or even intentionally unique. I think we do things differently, but the things we do come pretty easily to us, and that's what I think makes us different, makes us say, and I've been told this by people who've come to see us, that's what makes us artistic, but not arty, and what makes us different or unique, but not weird. Because deliberate weirdness or deliberate artiness, I think, is like a really bad thing to be. And, it's to really be avoided. And if you can do something different and put the pieces together a little differently without saying, gee, what can I do now to be so unique? What can I do now to be different and weird? I think you've really achieved something.
We get very extreme reactions from people, meaning people love us and they hate us, which is fine. I mean, I always thought that was an admirable quality in a group, to be able to elicit such strong reactions. It's definitely not for everybody. I don't think we have illusions about being a massively popular group.
That reminds me to invite you into a deep well, hollering from inside a deep well, 'cause I was somewhere else, thinking someone else's thoughts. Not hollering.
But seriously.
If we wanted to make money, we'd be doing something else,
That's certainly true.
I was in a bookstore yesterday and I saw these little digests. It was a pretty conventional bookstore, but it had in the sort of magazine section this sort of little fanzine devoted only to Hawkwind. And I thought, well, that's great, that's kind of like the sort of thing I'd like us to sort of be sort of like, that we'd be this band who meant a great deal to a few people. I think, I anticipate that we're going to end up in the tradition of bands, like Velvet Underground or Wire or Perubu.
Bootsy Collins.
Bands who attract, say, far more interest 5, 8, 10, 15 years after the release of their records than they did possibly at the time of their release.
So we're erecting a huge monument in our...
It's a bit of a weird concept, though, sort of like thinking what we're doing now is being ignored, but like 5, 10 years' time, we're going to be mega.
It's difficult explaining it to the phone company when they call you to pay the bill. Hold off 15 years. I think that's when the royalties are going to start coming in. But it's like, I know that the Velvet Underground were less popular in the States, for instance. I can't speak for England. I suppose England as well. Were less popular, far less popular, during their own time than we are now. And we're not very popular at all. But yet those records did not sound anything like records where people were making in 1967, 68, and 69. Much the same way as I hope that our records don't sound like anything that was made in 1987 and 1988 and 1989. And I think that is a quality that's going to stand out perhaps more in the future when people look back and say, there was another band at the time like Hugo Largo.
So,
And
you know, they should listen to that and buy our records in the used bins now before they become, you know, very expensive items.
'Cause I was somewhere else, thinking someone else's thoughts, and not hollering from inside a deep well, hollering from inside a deep well.
レイチェルのヒューゴ・ラーゴのインタビューでした。この後まだまだロドニー・アレンのインタビューやブリリアントコーナーズが続きます。今週はブリストルからお送りしていますが、次の曲はダーリング・バーツの新曲が何度届く。はい、次はですね、ちょっと不気味な話というかちょっと怖い話するんですけど、アーティストの中にも昔から悪魔信仰というものがありまして、特にT-Rexのマーク・ボランは有名でですね、自分の死を予言していたというのはもう有名なようですね。60年代の初めに魔女と会ったっていうのが彼の、その信仰っていうか霊と出会う直接なきっかけだったんですが、今日どうしてこんな話をするのかと言いますと、ビデオクリップでも出てきますね。ダニエル・ダックスが実は彼女もかなり霊感が強いということなんですね。というのも彼女のおばあ様が霊媒師だったということで、話を聞けばダニエルは近頃マーク・ボランがどうも自分の周りについてるようだというんです。ちょっと不気味でしょ。昨日も話しましたけど、ザザのマットにしましてもアーティストたちはある種感受性すごく強いですからね、作品作りのエネルギーにも多少少なからずとも影響しているのではないでしょうか。さあここでお便りなんですけれども、シンプルマインズの大ファンという横浜市戸塚区の、海野陽子さんです。どうもありがとうございます。どうか特集をということなんですけれどね、これはまた後にしまして、シンプルマインズの情報なんですけれど、3年ぶりの英国ツアーがこの7月から8月にかけて行われまして、今回はインドアで行われるそうなんですが、インドアといってもほとんどスタンディングでお客様をたくさん入れて、何箇所かな、4箇所以上で行われるようですね。お料金の方は5000円以上ということで、イギリスのアーティストにしましてはちょっと高いなという感じです。さあこの後はブリリアントコーナーズのインタビューです。どうぞ。
We first started gigging around about 1987. That's when What's in a Word came out. And I think since then we've noticed we get more and more people coming to the gigs and we sell more and more records. Like, Chris, who runs more the financial side of the label, could tell you how many records we sold like last year, which is quite a lot of records really, considering we're so broke.
Yeah. I think we've made headway, but it's kind of slow and it's not reflected in the press or anything like that.
Well, that's what I was getting at, really, because
Yeah.
I think that you know, when you get a flurry of excitement about a certain band, like Brilliant Corners did get a flurry of excitement at first, and it seemed to sort of petered off in a way.
I think that's the thing about sort of fashionability. I mean, you always have to be happening at the right time. And I suppose lots of other bands have had front pages in the music press, and perhaps we have deserved it, but we haven't. But I think it's very much a fashion thing, especially in England. If you go abroad in Germany or America, it's not so aligned to what's happening at the moment.
You understand, it's dragging me around. My chronic up my awful face. She crossed it up to not to play. She crossed it up to not to play.
Well, we've had some songs which you could describe as wimpy, cute or whatever, simply because they're hummable and they're poppy. But we've always had abrasive guitars as well. I think the thing about maybe Sonic Youth and Dinosaur Jr., I mean, I really like those bands, but I think it's got to be remembered that Sonic Youth have been around, you know, before we even learnt how to play guitars. So maybe their sort of success is long overdue. So, I mean, I can't remember the exact first time I heard of Sonic Youth. It was probably about sort of 5 years ago. But
you know, maybe sort of 3 years ago they were moaning that no one was writing about them.
Well, I think you can't really regret doing Brian Ricks because as the video got shown on the TV and we did get so much attention, we did like increase our profile quite a lot. And, you know, more people came to the gigs. We sold like 3 times as many records just as a result of that.
Just you remind me of Brian Ricks. When you pull down your trousers, it sends me in fits. It's just you remind me of Brian Ricks. When you pull down your trousers, it sends me in fits. Well, that's cool.
On the other hand, you know, it's like a double-edged sword. We did, you know, we were lumbered with this kind of cheeky chappy image, which we're not cheeky at all, really.
We're not even chappies for that matter.
Girlies.
I don't know, I just thought it was quite an adventurous thing to do because no groups would ever contemplate releasing something like that. And I thought, well, this would be a bit kind of surreal. We'll release this sort of song. No one even knew who Ricks was at the time. Certainly no one under the age of 35 did. And like, we just thought it'd be a witty idea. But of course, people just take that one fraction of what you do and blow it up. And all of a sudden, that's all you're about. Well, certainly that's what all the major record companies wanted us to be about, which was why we had nothing to do with them. It's odd because there seems to be 2 sort of sets of people in Bristol. There's a load of people who obviously hate us, hate our very existence and would spit on us if they saw us in the streets. And then there's a group of people who live out in the suburbs, very sort of people who aren't particularly into, you know, what's hip and happening, whatever. You almost see us as pop stars. So they buy you the Evening Post and they maybe read about you or they've seen you on the telly. You know, and sort of where I come from, if I go in the local pub, you know, I have half of my dad's mates sort of saying, oh, when are you going to get on top of the pops? It's the old sort of thing like that, whereas other people would sort of kick us in the groin and hope we disappeared. So I don't mind. If people don't like us, I don't mind. Bristolians don't like us. I suppose in maybe 2 or 3 years' time, if the band doesn't exist, then we will disappear away and be completely sour and turn to alcohol or whatever. I don't know. We just will. So that'll be it. We'll be complete failures. Because I can't imagine getting a job. I couldn't possibly do that. I had a job once. It drove me around the bend. I had it for 5 years. Chemistry technician.
What do you have to go out with me? When you could go out with me. What do you have to go out with me? And not me. And not me.
さてブリリアントコーナーズは近々ニューアルバムを発売する予定。せっかくブリストルに来ているから最近のバンドの状況をメンバーのクリスとデイビーに聞いてみました。
There are so many traps been laid. How can you avoid one? Put your foot down in a moonlit glade. Snap your ankles broken. I don't know how decisions get made. Which of the turns to take? It doesn't seem to matter what plans are laid. You can't tell when the wave will break. So many ways. So many ways. There are so many colorful rays. How are you going so many ways, so many ways.
今のはジェームスの So Many Ways でした。失礼しました。さて、体はがっちりのロドニー・アレンはブルーエアロプレインズのギタリスト。でもソロとしてもかなり評価のできるプレイヤーでもあります。ソロプレイヤーだったら当たり前でしょうか。とにかくロドニーの後をつけてこちらでインタビューしました。
There's a set really style for them. Apart from it, it's just me. You know, most of the songs are like 3 chords, but there's loads of other songs that are. Someone taught me how to play a 7th about 3 months ago, so I've written loads of songs with 7ths in since, which sound nothing like the songs with 3 chords. So I don't know really. I don't mind what they say as long as they don't say brag.
What if they say protest singer, Rodney?
No, I don't think so really. Not really. The only things I protest about having nothing to do when I wake up and not waking up with anyone.
It's the hat, though.
The hat? Yes, that was actually, there was a really good review of the gig I did with the hat when they seem to have forgotten that Donovan, John Lennon and Bob Dylan wore one of those black caps before Billy Bragg did, but yeah, I don't know. I just wore the hat because I really like Liverpool and I bought it in the Beatles shop and it reminds me of Liverpool.
When you're out there and it's just you talking to people, singing to people,
Yeah.
probably in the eyes of people in the audience, more than with a group, it's very much a one-to-one thing,
Yeah.
right? Do you get lots of interesting letters from people? Do you get a lot of feedback from people who come and see you?
Yeah, I get a lot of letters. from like one-to-one letters. People saying that I felt this and I felt that. You know, that a song that I've written about, and I tend to get very, very long letters, and usually they carry on for a long time as well. It's not just one and then that's it. So I reply to all of them, and then it's a really ongoing situation. There's about 5 or 6 that I write to every week. You know, it's really strange.
Do you ever get any scary ones that you sort of think, I better not answer this?
I had a slightly dodgy one from this person in Italy called Gigolo. This boy, he sort of offered to pay my airfare to Italy and said he wanted to, mother me. That was about the weirdest one yet.
You don't get any proposals of marriage?
Yeah, I don't think people want to marry me. I think they want to mother me, really. I'm not big enough to get married.
Didn't anyone tell you? I thought that they would. Why have you stopped coming here? What did I say so wrong? I never meant to play you that silly song, no.
I don't always play. Some of the songs sound really good played with a band. Like in the Blue Airplanes, I played one of my songs with them. And I think it sounds really good. And if I can actually afford to do it, then I'd really like to sort of play a few songs solo and then some with a band. I mean, to be honest, a year ago I really didn't want to be in a band and didn't want to have anything to do with being in a band. Well, personally, my songs, I've played in other bands, but I did sort of realise, especially like the last 4 or 5 months of the Airplanes, where it's been getting really hectic down at the front. And I think sometimes maybe it's a little bit much to ask for people to stand there for an hour, listening to these songs about someone, being out of love and in love all the time, and all these sort of things. And sometimes, a bit of a release from this at the end of the set or halfway through the set is, I think it's nice, And always aware of all the people at the front of Airplanes gigs who look like they're having a really good time, whereas at my gigs are all, a bit like that. But I'd like to do both, the best of both, if you know what I mean.
Why won't you phone me just one more time? Phone me, 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 phone me.
So, if you weren't a Blue Aeroplane guitar devil, and if you weren't a teen sex god in your own right, what would you be?
A teen what?
Pop singer.
That's right.
And if you weren't all of these things, what would you think you'd be doing?
I'd probably be on an enterprise allowance scheme, I should imagine.
Like everybody else.
Yeah.
Why won't you phone me just one more time? Phone me, 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 love me, hold me, phone me, phone me, phone me, phone me, one more time.
ロドニー・アレンでした。皆さん電話をかけてあげてくださいね。もし誰かが白熊の名前を教えてくれるというなら手紙待ってます。どこに白熊が見えるんでしょうね。とにかく皆さんこのミュージックボックスにお手紙といろんなリクエストください。よろしくお願いします。住所の方は後で見せてくれるそうです。それではラストはザ・ピクシーズです。
An underwater guy who controlled the sea. Got killed by 10 million pounds of sludge from New York and New Jersey. In the sky got sucked in a hole. Now there's a hole in the sky, and the ground's not cold. And if the ground's not cold, everything is gonna burn. Well, I'll take turns. I'll get mine too. This one is gone to heaven. 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 Rock me, Joe. If man is fine, then the devil is six, then the devil is six, the devil is six, devil is six. And if the devil is six, then God is seven, and God is seven, then God is seven. This one is gone to heaven. This one is gone to heaven. This one is gone to heaven. This one is gone.
はい、ラストはピクシーズでしたが、ピクシーズといえばアルバムサーファーローザなんです。このアルバム早くも80年代のベストアルバムに選ばれました。アメリカのインディペンデントグループでここまでイギリスでも成功したグループというのはあとソニックユースもそうなんですけれどもね。さあThey Might Be Giantsイギリスでどこまで成功するでしょうか。さあところで日曜日のロックオブヨーロッパ宛てにたくさんね再放送コールということで最新ご紹介しましたが、今日紹介しきれなくてごめんなさいね。本当にたくさんどうもありがとうございました。で次の日曜日はですね、ここからピックアップしまして、とりあえず今週の日曜日は、ストラングラーズとそしてスプリッティポリティの特集をお届けしたいと思います。というのも今音楽業界というのは60年代70年代に遡りまして、例えばワンダースタッフですとか音のキレというかその辺がね、昔に戻っているという状況がありますので、そこでストラングラーズをピックアップしたわけなんです。どうぞ楽しみにしておいてくださいね。さあラストはお便りとリクエストなんですが、今日はですね練馬区の山本由美子さんです。どうもありがとうございます。父がワールドニュースを見るためにつけたチューナー、それは私と運命的な出会いだったわけです。トランスミッションと木下さんということでありがとうございました。そして、リクエストはイーストビレッジとラブ&ロケッツということで、今日は2つともかけちゃおうかな。 ディレクターさんどうでしょうか。お相手は木下てるみでした。バイバイ。
Your heart set on turns out to be the lonely one, and you know that I wouldn't lie. You know damn well I'm not that kind. Girl, that your heart set on turns out to be the strangest one. Can you wonder why she wasn't seen before her brother died?